Alpha.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Sony Show in Focus, episode number 8. So, thank you for joining us today, and thank you for joining us. Absolutely, absolutely. We are happy to be here one more time. My name is Ranieri Pallavicini, and I am with the CET Customer Engagement Team with Sony. Quick reminder that the chat is live. So I encourage you to ask any questions for this or future episodes. Again, welcome to the family. And today we are going to be talking about ZVE10 Mark II camera with the two lenses. One lens, the kit lens that comes with the camera, 1650, and another upgrade lens, in my opinion, is a very good upgrade, 11 millimeters 1.8. And that being said, I record two videos to show you a little bit of differences between those two lenses. So Marvin, if you can help me and put those videos in, that would be great. Hello, and I am here with my arm fully extended, and I'm here with the ZVE10 Mark II and the kit lens 16 to 50 millimeters, which is a very solid lens. It has zoom, it's compact, it's lightweight, but it's a kit lens and it has its limitations. So if you are looking a lens for blogging, I have a better option for you. At least I like it better. I would like to be a little bit wider so I can get a little bit more of the foreground or the subject or the model. So I'm gonna talk to you about that lens in the next video. All right. And one more time, I am here with the ZVE10 camera. Well, now this time is with the 11 millimeters 1.8 lens. And this lens, I like a little bit more because my arm is extended as well, but now I have a little bit more room and I like that better. Also, it's a 1.8 lens that it will allow me to blur a little bit more the background and have a little bit more separation from the foreground to the background. Also, because it's 1.8, this lens can capture almost 4 times more light than the kit lens. Also, it's sharper and very fast autofocusing lens as well. welcome, welcome. So if we can put those two pictures for those videos, hopefully you guys saw the difference on those videos. The first video was actually with the, let's check the chat for a second. Let's check the chat. They're telling me to check the chat. Excellent. Excellent. So let's talk a little bit about these two lenses and those two screenshots, right? So the one on the left, of course, I'm sorry, the 1650. It is good. It is good. I like it. It was kind of sharp, faster focusing. It was following me very, very good, the lens. But of course, it has its limitations. What limitations it had? Well, do you see? Do you see the main limitation that I see is the angle of view, right? It's too tight to my head. And so I feel like a little uncomfortable there. So when I put the 11 millimeters, the first thing I realized, whoa, much nicer, much, much nicer. And because it's 1.8, it have a little bit more creamier background, a little bit better bokeh. And what that do is just have a little bit of separation between a little bit more separation between the foreground and the background. And of course, you cannot see it in this screenshot, but the actual video was much sharper, and that's because of the lens. But that being said, what I want to show you is that I'm going to give you a little bit more information about the kit lens and a little bit more information about the other lens and why I think is an upgrade, right? So let me go back here and let me just start with this lens. So first of all, the kit lens is a 16 millimeters to 50 focal length, 16 to 50. What does that mean? That means that start wide angle and I can zoom in a little bit. By the way, those two lenses, you can use it for video and you can use it for pictures. You can use it for product photography. You can use it for video photography, right? Not video photography, video blogging and video of products if you want. I'm gonna go in a little bit more detail a little bit later. Um, this lens, one of the features of this lens is that it's light and very compact, very light, very compact. But one of the limitations that this lens has is that when you at the wider angle of view, at the wider, which is 16 in this case, is a 3.5 the aperture. And when you zoom in, you're gonna lose light. Why? It's just because it's not a constant aperture lens. So that means that is the aperture of the lens is wide at this angle of view, but when you zoom in, it closes. So it gets darker, the lens, right? So if you are doing video and you have all your settings on your camera manual, don't zoom in because it's going to become darker, the lens. I'm sorry, the whole video, right? So now, if you have the camera in automatic or some parts in manual and the other parts in automatic, like auto or ISO, so auto ISO, it will compensate what you do. So if you zoom in, even though it's getting darker, it doesn't matter because the camera will compensate the light for you. So that's just a tip. When you hear, oh, this lens is brighter than this lens, um, don't feel like, oh, I'm going to have a darker picture or a darker video. If you shoot everything in manual, yes, but if you put it in automatic, the camera will compensate for you. Now, the big difference will be that with the kit lens, when the camera is compensating with the lighting, with the more ISO, you increase something that's called noise or digital noise. And that will take away quality from your lens because it's these little dots of red, green, and on top like a little film in front of the camera. And back in the days was grain, now it's digital noise. So that's the difference. Now, this lens, again, very solid lens, very good, just has some limitations to put it that way, right? Now, if you want to upgrade, if you want to change the way the video look a little bit, and you want to upgrade in quality and couple other things, I think this is the lens. I'm going to tell you why. So, first of all, it's a little bit wider for blogging. So you will be able to fit more in your shot. You're going to see more area in your shot, right? because it's wider. The second is because it's wider aperture lens. This one can go down up to 1.8 millimeters. So 1.8 aperture, f1.8. What does that mean? I'll tell you what it means. It means almost 4 times more light, almost 4 times, which is 2 stops better, almost 4 times more light than this kit lens. So what we do with 4 times more light? I tell you what we do. So when we are shooting again in a low light situation, whatever, a party, anything, or you are vlogging in a low light situation, you will put this lens at 1.8. If you put it on the camera and the camera is automatic, the camera will do it for you automatically. It's gonna, oh, this lens allow me to go to 1.8. That's what I'm gonna use. I'm gonna take advantage of that good aperture, right? So when you put it at 1.8 and you're gathering so much light, now the camera doesn't have to increase or inject or increase the artificial light because it has the ambient light or the natural light. Therefore, you have a cleaner image or cleaner video or cleaner blogging in whatever situation you are, because now you don't have to increase the ISO as much as this little one here. So that is one of the benefits. But what other benefits has this 11 1.8 lens? The other lens is that when you are shooting at 1.8, you have a creamier background, and now you have more separation. So the eyes goes to whatever is more in focus on the whole area of the video. So that being said, it's more focusing on you, more blurred background, you stand out more. It's either you or the subject that you are filming. It doesn't matter. Whatever is focusing on is more separation. And also the lens is a better quality, so it is a sharper lens. The elements are designed just to do one thing and one thing only: 11 millimeters wide angle of view. That's it, you know, and that's why I do it better than this one that is doing more, but this one do it better. So that being said, also is faster focusing, much faster focusing in this one, the 11 millimeters, compared to the key lens. Uh, other functions are other functions is that it's not as small as this one, but it's not big at all. It's very manageable. So I'm taking out the hood here, and you can actually see, uh, yes, right here. So it is not big at all. This is in comparison to this one, and as you can see, look at this. So yes, it's a little bit longer, but again, it is not bad at all. It feels extremely solid, solid lens. Not to say that you also have this button here. Let's go to camera two. And this button, you can customize this button. And you can do a couple other things with that button. Like it's right here. The button is here, right here. So this button, you can actually tell the camera, okay, when you press this button, change the quality of the image, change to RAW to JPEG, or do manual focus, or do this type of autofocusing. If you have a wide, picking up the closest subject to the camera automatically, when you press that button, probably can go to the center and track whatever you want. So it is very useful because you have a a list of many different things that you can assign to that little button. So again, it is a solid lens, and I think it will improve your quality of production or blogging. Not to say that this one focus extremely much closer than this one. This one basically it focus like this, like it's extremely close. This one is about double. Is about double, but this one extremely close. So I don't know if you know, but the closer you get to your subject, also the more blur background. So it will diffuse the background. It will disappear that background, which is good because again, you focus on one subject. And with that being said, let's check the chat. And after checking the chat, so EG 11 is way better perspective for blogging, especially outdoors. Absolutely, absolutely. 100%, 100%, I agree with you. I felt so uncomfortable, to be honest with you, when I put this and I tried to blog. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, I want to put it much farther away, but I couldn't because it's not as wide. So yes. So you guys know, in comparison, the kit lens, because it's an APS-C camera and it's an APS-C lens, 16 millimeters equals 24 millimeters for full frame. And this one, 11 millimeters, will equal 16.5. So if you have a full frame camera and you have a 16 millimeter lens, the focal length is going to be basically the same thing as the 11. So 16 is very, very good. I just came from Yellowstone and I did a little bit of blogging, not too much, but a little bit, talking. It was amazing behind me. It was all these eruptions of vapor and water, and it was incredible. So, make the story short, um, I did it with the 16 millimeters full frame, which is exactly the same as this one with the APS-C. And yes, the angle of view was just fantastic in the back, fantastic. So when I put this lens, no, too tight for me, too tight, too tight. So yes. So, give me, excuse me, guys. I'm reading the chat, the comments. Is there a Sony step up recommendation if I need a little zoom capability as well as the wider aperture? Yes and no. I'm going to tell you what we have. We have another lens that is the 10 to 20 millimeters. So it is a f4. And I didn't, did I talk about the constant aperture or no constant aperture? I think I touched a little bit. But yes, the 10 to 20 millimeters is a f4. So a little bit closer than 3.5. But guess what? It's constant. So when you zoom in and out from 10 to 20 millimeters, you don't change the light. And well, that's it. That's basically it. If you want to go to a wide aperture lens, constant, you might have to go to the probably the new two lenses that is a 16 to 25, 2.8 all the way through, so you don't lose light. And the other one is 24 to 50, 2.8 all the way through. Keep in mind that those lenses are full frame lenses. So if you put that in a full frame, you have that a little bit of, wiggle room on the focal length, stay, very good price compared to a G Master lens that is more. So those lenses are, but you're gonna have to have a full frame camera. For the APS-C, I have the feeling like it's gonna be the 10 to 20 or, the 10 to 20 or something like that. Or another lenses that we have a 15 millimeters as well, 1.4 for APS-C. But again, that 15 millimeters becomes, 20 something. So it's not as wide. I hope that helped. So Malcolm, is the 11 millimeters OSS? It is not. It is not optical study shot. It is not. It is not. Um, Usually with this lens, I mean, I didn't have a problem with everything vibrating. It's always better to have it, but remember on the camera, you have couple of image stabilizations that you can pick active and the other one. So you always have some kind of image stabilization, okay?
Don't feel like you are at a log and no, I don't have now image stabilization or optical static shots. That's what OSS means, right? Do I have another question? So no more questions. Okay. So yes. So lifestyle. So it's depending of what you are shooting, right? What you're gonna blog, right? If you feel like you want to do a traveling blog and things like that, oh, I 100% recommend a little bit wider, like the 11 millimeters. If you are going to do, if you have a long arms, obviously the longer, the farther away you put it from your face, the wider it's gonna become, or the more area of focus you're gonna have. So yeah, if you guys can definitely put here what kind of blogging you guys do, or what kind of videos you guys do. By the way, these are also for photography. I kind of forgot to mention that on this lens for photography for Milky Way and stars, this is fantastic. Why? Because again, you have 11 millimeters and you have 1.8. So this is very, very good for Milky Ways. And again, pairing it up with a camera like the ZVE10 Mark II is 26 megapixels. Fantastic, fantastic in low light. Very, very good. So I am, excuse me, guys, I am reading here the question from, I think is Jacqueline. For full frame camera, is the particular lens you recommend for low light video shooting in a large room, like a living room? Yes. Yes. So, oh, shooting like a yoga class. Got it. So you have couple options. You're saying for a full frame camera, I think you are going to be looking at either Alpha 7R5 or Alpha 1, if I remember correctly. But I'll tell you what. So the first one I would recommend probably is the 16 to 35 millimeters, 2.8. It's a constant aperture. So if you are shooting at 2.8 and zoom in, you don't lose any light. So that lens is extremely sharp. It's one of my favorite lenses to do landscapes and to do, basically landscapes. So just come from Yellowstone, and I was shooting a lot with that lens, mainly, basically with that lens. Of course, with wildlife, I changed the lens, but the landscapes beautiful because I do have also filters, which we can talk later about the filters that you can put on the lenses. But basically, that's the lens 1635 because you said a yoga class or a big room, 16 is beautiful. If you feel like 16 is still not too wide for you, for your purpose, they have another lens, a prime lens, is called the 14 millimeters GM, 14 1.8. I do have that lens as well, and it's fantastic. I don't have it here to show it to you. I mean, I have it, but somewhere else in in here. So the 14 1.8, it is great, and also the ultimate ultra wide angle lens, if you want to go for the best of the best, will be the 12 to 24. Is the only lens in the world, the only company that makes this is Sony. 12 to 24 2.8. It is amazing, extremely sharp. It's just incredible. So I took some northern lights with that lens, and it was just fantastic, like the best. Yes, it is a little bit in the heavier side, but the quality is top notch. And probably that's good for you. Eventually, you buy that 12 to 24. Eventually, you get 24 to 70, and eventually 70 to 200. So you got the Holy Trinity, they call it, the Holy Trinity. So I hope that helped a little bit. But you can also have a little bit more options as well. You have a prime 20 millimeters, 1.8 is on the inexpensive side. Um, we have a 24 millimeters, 1.4, 35, 1.4, but that 24, 1.4 is probably not as wide as what you need. And then I hope that helped. Yes, it is an algorithm in the camera. It's not an algorithm. It's that the camera tracks exactly the way you are moving the camera when you put it in the active mode, and then you grab that video and you can put it in Catalyst Browse. It's a free software from Sony, and the software realize, oh, wait a minute, you have this data in this video, this matter data in this video, and I guess it do the opposite of where you were moving, so it stabilize it. um, just keep in mind, it's going to you're going to take a hit of, I believe it's just 10% of cropping, just a little bit, just a tiny bit, 10% and of cropping to be able to do all that fixing of for you. But yes, that is a good question. Good question. And all the new cameras have that function, by the way. All the new cameras, even though that the cameras, even the camera has image stabilization on the sensor, they will have on top of also as well. Right? If you put the active optical uh, image stabilization. So, any other question, EG? I love joining your live stream. You are so knowledgeable. You make it so simple. Thank you for your knowledge. No, thank you guys. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. The 1224, if you have a full frame. Yes, the 12 to 24, it is a full frame lens. Absolutely. By the way, you can also put all the full frame lenses because Sony has one mount. One mount means one mount for everything, um, for everybody. Even the Venice 2 camera that costs a lot of money. They film movies in Hollywood. Those also have the one mount system from Sony. That means that these lenses, any lens from Sony, can even fit those cameras, those cinema cameras. FX6, FX3, FX9, Venice, the Burano cameras. So basically, yes, Sony is a company that want to have, we have, I believe, is 76 lenses and counting, 76 lenses. So you have about 20 lenses or so, special for APS-C, and about 50 something lenses for full frame, and it's special for full frame. But again, you can put an APS-C lens in an APS-C camera or APS-C lens in a full frame camera if you want it. You're gonna make it that full frame camera APS-C if you put an APS-C lens, but you can do the opposite. You can put a full frame lens in an APS-C camera as well and take advantage of that quality. So, let's see, Malcolm, but with a 10% crop, do you get a benefit using a full frame lens over the APS-C lens on APS-C sensor? The only benefit, it will be you will have the crop right away. Let's say a 50 millimeter lens. So if you have a 50 millimeter lens, full frame lens, and you put that full frame lens 50 millimeters in a crop, you're gonna have the multiplication factor. So you're gonna look at 75 in comparison with a full frame. If you put, this is not many people know this, even that these lenses are special for crop, you still have to do the conversion when you put it in a crop camera. So even if you put an APS-C crop in an APS-C camera, you still have to do the conversion only if you want to compare the two. If you're not comparing anything, forget about the numbers. Don't worry. Use your camera as I never said this. But if you want to compare, oh, I have a full frame camera and I have an APS-C. I want to have the same angle of view look. Then you have to do the conversion, right? With 1.5. If you're not comparing to anything, don't even worry about that. So let me answer this last question from Rodolfo. Rodolfo, how can an amateur maximize their 1650 kit lens? Because most people buy their first camera with that kit lens. Good question. Good question, Rodolfo. How they can maximize this lens? Well, again, it's depending what the customer wants. Let's say that the customer already have this camera with this lens. Um, So how you maximize it? Well, you put you put let's say if I want to blur out the background, even though it's not as wide aperture this lens because it's the kit lens, well, I'm gonna zoom in. So the more you zoom in, you focus on the face of somebody or a product, then you're gonna blur out that background much quicker, much faster, just because of the compression on the lens when you zoomed in, right? And that's one. How much, I mean, how you can maximize this lens? Let's say in low light situation, like I said before, this camera will bump up the ISO. Well, how you can take more advantage? Well, bring some kind of light to your set so the camera doesn't have to bump up the ISO as much. That's something else. That's how you can maximize it. What else? What else? I mean, basically, that's about it. Where it says E mount, if any lens says E mount, I'm sorry, E in the numbers, that's for crop, E mount lens. But the other lenses, the full frame says F as a Frank, F E, full frame E mount. That's just another tip. So with that, guys, I think we are all done. Thank you very much for tuning in. Um, Hopefully, you guys enjoy. If you have more questions, feel free to drop it in there. We're gonna go back and answer these questions as well. Even though I'm not gonna do it right now, but don't worry, just keep coming and we will do it. Again, we will have this meeting with you guys. I will have this meeting with you guys next month, and feel free to suggest what kind of topics you want me to talk about. So suggest that. Hopefully, we can put it into the plan and we can make it happen. We can make it into a fruition. Um, some of the topics that, I mean, you have to kind of tell me what is it that you want to hear about, but we have here some lists, right? The list is the 70 to 200 GM2 lens, right? Paired with the A7 IV camera, A7 Mark IV. That's a very popular camera and it's fantastic as well. Very good for low light, very good for photos, very good for video. It's a hybrid camera. Would you like to hear that, or would you like to hear, let's say, another lens, right? 24 to 105 with the A7 IV camera. Comparison. Well, what do you want to hear? The 51.8 lens paired with the same camera. So yeah, just put it in the chat. Feel free to any idea that you have for us for this channel. All those ideas are welcome. One more time, thank you guys for tuning in. I am very happy and privileged to be here trying to share a little bit the knowledge. So, again, one more time, I will see you next time. Don't stop creating, don't stop filming, and don't stop taking pictures. For now, I will say bye into the next one. Alpha.